When we're interested in a single measure, the main Explorer splits it down by all the dimension leaderboards. But what if we want to see how these values change over time, kind of like the spark line on the left? That's where we drill down into the time dimension detail view by clicking on the KPI tile. And that blows up the spark line to a full page visualization and gives us a tabular breakdown of that data below. And it carries through, in this case, the time comparisons or also any dimension comparisons that were being shown on the Explore view at the time. Now the data table is kind of like a pivot table where you can select one dimension for the rows, one time grain for the columns, switching between days and hours there, and one measure for the value. If you have a dimension selected, you'll get a little spark line for every single value of that dimension over time. And even if you have a few of them selected for the ones that you want to visualize in the chart, you're still going to get visibility, although it's grayed out, of all the other values and their spark lines that are available. It's a nice touch. It makes it quite easy to navigate around without losing context. You can choose whether to visualize the data as lines or as bars. So I'll generally prefer to use the line chart to compare one category against another, although you can show them as bars. But I particularly like the stacked bar chart for when I'm interested in the total value, not just the breakdown. And the other interesting thing about the stacked bar chart is it's the only place in Rill where you're going to be able to compare both across the dimensions and, if I switch on the time comparison, across time. So I can see the total value for the main period and compare it for the total value for the previous period, and also break it down by the dimension values within the stacked bar chart. So it's a useful capability for being able to do that. And then finally, the other thing to note is on the right hand side, we have the same export options that we do if we had a pivot table view. So I can export to file, or I can create a scheduled report against that. And if I do want to maybe take a closer look at the export or have a little bit of finer grain control over it, I can also click the Start Pivots button there, and that's going to take me into a pivot table view based on the time dimension detail.